Hello everyone, this is Nicole at CSN Chicago News. A state lawmaker from Chicago has announced a plan to raise Illinois' minimum wage to $15 by 2022. Democratic Representative Will Guzzardi told reporters Monday he will file legislation within days to incrementally increase the rate over 5 years. The first hike will bring a $25 rate to $9 by 2018. Guzzardi says it will improve Illinois' business climate and the plan will include tax help for small businesses. But business groups remain opposed, saying raising the minimum wage increases the cost of doing business, among other things. The bill's fate is also unclear amid a 2-year budget impasse that has overshadowed other issues in Springfield. New laws in New York and California will gradually raise the wage to $15. U.S. Representative Luis Gutierrez was briefly handcuffed on Monday during a sit-in at a federal immigration office in Chicago. Gutierrez said during the sit-in that he and other activists would not leave until demands were met. Among other things, the Illinois Democrat is asking immigration officials not to conduct raids and reverse a years-old deportation decision on a Mexican immigrant in the country without legal permission. A U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement spokeswoman didn't return a request for comment. Mayor Rahm Emanuel and Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo today convened 17 mayors spanning 5 continents, 11 countries, and who represent 44 million people for an urban waterways forum in Chicago. The event, co-hosted by World Business Chicago and the Chicago Council on Global Affairs, is designed to foster an international conversation about the future of urban waterways. As mayors of major cities worldwide consider how to drive economic opportunity, create new public spaces, and find more environmentally sustainable uses for aging infrastructure, they are increasingly turning to the development of urban waterways. To harness the power of that movement, a number of government officials have gathered in Chicago from 5 continents. Urban waterways, whether on rivers, lakes, seas, or oceans, have always been natural centers of gravity. Over time, transportation and manufacturing have evolved, and the old industrial waterways that turn into unused land are again ripe for new design, development, and purpose. The U.S. Attorney in Chicago on Monday wrote 2 letters. First, Zachary Farden penned a resignation letter. Then, on the way out the door, he handed out a 5-page public letter that amounts to a roadmap of what's wrong in Chicago and how to fix it. In the open letter, that focuses on Chicago's unrelated street violence and seemingly out-of-control murders, Farden states that this is not work and he discourages the call to use National Guard troopers in the city. He is calling for more law enforcement officers. His resignation comes a few days after Attorney General Jeff Sessions asked nearly 4,000 prosecutors to resign. They were holdovers from President Barack Obama's administration. Thank you for watching. See you next time.
Let's begin with the global markets. Chinese stocks closed mixed on Tuesday, with the benchmark Shanghai Composite Index up 0.07%. Hong Kong stocks went lower, down 0.01%. The 225-issue Nikkei stock average slipped 0.12%. The US dollar ended lower against the most major currencies on Monday, despite positive economic data from the country. Oil prices ended lower on Monday after rising U.S. rig count triggered market concern over global oil glut. Gold futures on the COMEX division of the New York Mercantile Exchange went up on Monday as investors carefully monitored the election in the Netherlands for possible anti-euro results. British Prime Minister Theresa May is now free to trigger Article 50 and begin 2 years of exit talks with the EU. May faces the monumental task of negotiating the details of Brexit, as well as pressure from Scotland's new bid for independence. May cleared the final hurdle standing between her and the start of Brexit negotiations on Monday after Parliament passed legislation giving her the power to start the EU exit process. Two amendments by the House of Lords that risked delaying May's bill were in the end rejected by peers after MPs in the elected Commons overturned the amendments. The bill is expected to receive royal assent from Queen Elizabeth on Tuesday. This will then allow the Prime Minister to inform Brussels officially of Britain's intention to leave the EU after 43 years. May has stated she will begin the final process by the end of this month. However, she has yet specified a date, ending 9 months of uncertainty over how the government might navigate the uncharted territory of leaving the EU. In addition to setting a date to trigger Article 50, May is facing further complications arising from Scotland's demand for a new independence referendum. Whenever May decides to launch the talks, her government will have to weigh up competing demands during 2 years of talks outlined by Article 50. However, she has intimated they're likely to involve a free trade deal, better security, tighter control over immigration, and restoring sovereignty regarding British laws. The EU has not welcomed her demands, noting May's government acknowledges its bold opening position. The Commonwealth Secretary-General says Brexit has been an opportunity for deepening of a conversation that had already started. Let's take a look. Baroness Patricia Scotland was speaking on the Commonwealth Day. One of 52 members of the Commonwealth, which share historic and cultural ties, celebrate their organization. She said the Commonwealth members had much in common, despite the vast distances between many of them. Part of that commonality was in law, culture, which provided an opportunity for trade relations. Scotland said she was optimistic that shared traits, values, language, and history are a distinct advantage in a globalized economy. She added they hope to raise trade between 25 to 30%. There's already a 19% Commonwealth advantage because of their commonalities in their trading with each other. 14 million Americans will lose their medical insurance next year if Republican plan to withdraw Obamacare is implemented. The proposal is aimed at reducing the budget deficit. The new plan was assessed by the nonpartisan U.S. Congressional Budget Office. The CBO report forecasts that 24 million more people would be uninsured in 2026 if the plan were adopted. This would be a potential setback for President Donald Trump's first major legislative initiative. However, the report also said federal deficits would fall by $337 billion between 2017 and 2026 under the Republican bill. Republican leaders proposed the legislation to dismantle Obamacare a week ago. Two committees from the House of Representatives have approved it, but it has aroused opposition from not only Democrats but also medical providers. Experts said the report was more extreme than expected. Doctors' groups and patient advocates said the bill must be abandoned. Some Republicans worry that misguidance on Republican health care legislation could damage Trump's presidency and lead to losses for the party in the 2018 congressional elections. The Trump administration defended the Obamacare plan, saying its envisaged second and third phases will entice consumers. Trump himself made no comment on the report. Boeing and Chinese aviation manufacturer Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China will start to build a Boeing 737 completion center in East China. Construction in Zhoushan will begin at the end of March. The center is scheduled to make its first delivery in 2018. This is Boeing's first overseas facility as part of its 737 production plans, designed to deliver 100 Boeing 737 planes a year. In the center, Boeing's 737 aircraft will be installed with flight entertainment systems and seats. It also provides services such as coding, repair, and maintenance of Boeing aircraft. In addition to supporting Boeing, the base will also develop an entire industrial chain for aircraft manufacturing with a capacity of assembling, delivering, and modifying 600 aircraft a year by 2025. To accommodate aircraft manufacturing, Putuoshan Airport in Zhoushan is undergoing an about $109 million expansion to become an international airport. Zhoushan is an island city in Zhejiang province, which has the largest fishery in China and boasts strong shipbuilding, tourism, and service industries. Kenya's banking industry body is encouraging members to embrace the Chinese yuan, aiming to boost the Sino-Kenyan trade.
Kenya Bankers Association CEO Habil Alaka told journalists in Nairobi on Monday that China has become one of Kenya's biggest trading partners. The CEO said Kenyan banks should facilitate the conversion of the Chinese yuan to the Kenya shilling in order to encourage Sino-Kenyan trade. The bankers' lobby is urging its 43 members, as well as microfinance banks, to ensure that Chinese and Kenyan traders can access the Chinese currency. Previously, if Kenyan traders wanted to buy goods from China, they had to convert the Kenyan shilling to other foreign currencies such as the US dollar. They would then convert the dollar to the Chinese yuan. Only in this way could they pay their Chinese supplier. Alaka says the process costs Kenyan traders a lot of fees in terms of commission. He adds a number of banks already have the Chinese yuan available over their bank counters. He says easier conversion of the Chinese yuan to the Kenyan shilling will help boost the country's economy.
U.S. chipmaker Intel offered $15.3 billion for Mobileye, a driverless car tech firm. The purchase is scheduled to close by year's end. Intel will pay $63.54 a share in cash for the Israeli company which develops autonomous driving systems. Mobileye and Intel are already working together, along with German carmaker BMW, to put 40 test vehicles on the road in the second half of this year. Jerusalem-based Mobileye has contracts with 27 carmakers. It also controls about two-thirds of the market for software that runs automatic emergency braking and semi-autonomous cruise control systems already fitted to cars and trucks. Intel expects the driverless market to be worth as much as $70 billion by 2030. The company reckons by 2020, driverless cars will generate 4,000 gigabytes of data a day that can be mined for information. Australians are withdrawing cash from automated teller machines or ATMs at low levels not seen in 15 years, further highlighting the nation's slow drift towards a cashless economy. Figures released by the Reserve Bank of Australia, or RBA, showed that ATM withdrawals fell 7.7% in the 12 months to January, while the number of Australians taking cash out during debit transactions was also falling at a record pace. It's the third straight year that the number of ATM withdrawals has fallen more than 6% on the year before. The latest figures also reinforce the RBA's decision to implement real-time payments from later this year. Under the scheme, both consumers and businesses will be able to transfer funds online in real time, eliminating the need for up to 5 days of waiting when transferring funds between different banks or over weekends and public holidays. According to the National Institute of Statistics, Italian seasonally adjusted industrial production in January decreased by 2.3% on the previous month. It was the first decline registered in 4 months, marking a sharp decrease compared to a 1.4% growth posted in December 2016. On an annual basis, industrial production fell by 0.5% in January. It was the first drop after 5 consecutive months of a positive trend. By sector, those registering the largest growth on an annual basis in January were electricity and gas supplies, pharmaceuticals, and chemical products. The sharpest decreases concerned all of the other manufacturing sectors, along with machinery repair and installation, the wood, paper, and printing industry, and mining activities. Bulgaria's exports to and imports from the non-European Union countries in January increased by 12.7% and 30.8% year-on-year respectively. According to the National Statistical Institute, exports to the non-EU countries amounted to $713 million in January. Data from the institute showed that main trade partners of Bulgaria were Turkey, Egypt, China, Serbia, and Macedonia, which accounted for 52.7% of the exports to non-EU countries. The largest growth in exports were recorded in the sections mineral fuel, lubricants and related materials, and animals and vegetable oils, fats and waxes. The most notable fall was reported in section miscellaneous manufactured articles. The Madrid Town Hall on Monday presented a plan aimed at reducing air pollution in the city, which will impose speed limits while restricting the access of some vehicles to the city center and banning others altogether. The plan came hot on the heels of a similar plan published by Barcelona local authority last week, which will see all cars which are more than 20 years old forbidden from entering the city. The Madrid project was made public a day after temporary restrictions on traffic parking in the city center due to high levels of nitrogen dioxide in the air were lifted. Hong Kong expected to charge solid waste by the second half of 2019 at the earliest. The long-awaited municipal solid waste charging plan will soon be submitted to Legislative Council for discussion. Hong Kong's environment chief said on Monday the municipal solid waste charging based on the quantity of waste they produce aims to create a financial incentive to drive behavioral changes in waste generation, thus reducing the overall waste disposal.
Hong Kong's municipal solid waste increased by nearly 80% in the past 30 years, outpacing the corresponding population growth of 36%. The charging could be a key policy to achieve our waste reduction target.
According to the plan, different stakeholders, including households, commercial and industrial organizations, property management companies, private waste collectors, etc., will be subject to the charging. They will have to pay for the amount of rubbish they dispose of either by using prepaid rubbish bags or via a landfill gate-free based on the weight of the trash. The Hong Kong Special Administrative Region government aims to reduce its daily per capita waste production to 0.8 kilograms by 2022 from 1.27 kilograms in 2011. The legislation proposal is expected to be approved in the middle of 2018, and after a preparation period of 12 to 18 months, the charging to be enforced by the second half of 2019 at the earliest. That's all for this edition of Econ Report. For more news and highlights, follow us on YouTube. You can also find more on our website, yan.cncnews.cn. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.
Hello and welcome to the Two Sessions special edition of Talk China. I'm Xie Ge.
And I'm Sean Haynes.
China's opening up and reform process starting over 30 years ago has led to fast economic development and provided chances for Chinese companies to go global. People living outside China may have found their daily life much easier thanks to inexpensive yet quality products with a Made in China label. So, Sean, did you notice this Made in China phenomenon when you were back in Britain?
Yes, absolutely. So for years, China's been the factory of the world, if you like. Made in China, the phrase, was probably my first point of reference for the country. It was there stamped all over my toys when I was a kid. Something that I have noticed as the years have progressed, though, is China's moved from this very small mark on the side of the box saying Made in China to take on the confidence to be the huge brand across the front of the box.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I've got a perfect example of a company which is doing exactly that. And I'm talking about Xiaomi here. The company is perhaps best known for its budget price smartphones, and it's using that appeal to seek out new markets around the world. Let's take a look.
Founded in 2010, Xiaomi has become one of the world's most valuable technology startups with its rapid expansion of market share not only in China but also overseas. The tech firm started overseas expansion 3 years ago and is now selling products in over 20 countries and regions worldwide, such as Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, India, and Brazil. India is the company's largest overseas market, where Xiaomi has become one of the top 5 smartphone brands in the country. In 2015, Xiaomi sold over 70 million units and accounted for almost 5% of the smartphone global market share.
Xiaomi literally means little grain of rice in Chinese. But as a smartphone brand, do you think it's fair to say this little grain of rice has been planted all over the world?
Yes, I do. So Xiaomi's growing to probably about world number 4 at the moment. But it's just representative of the Chinese smartphone market. Viewers at home might be a little bit interested to know that in 2015 second quarter, 7 of the world's top 10 largest smartphone companies were actually Chinese. They've done this by creating a very interesting niche in the market by producing quality products with high specs, but at budgets or low-end prices. For developing markets, particularly developing countries, this is a really attractive model. Maybe you'd like to fill us in on the rest of the top 10.
Yeah, of course. Besides Xiaomi, we've got Huawei, of course, ZTE, and Vivo, Lenovo, TCL, and Oppo. So we've talked about smartphones, but what would they be without electricity to power them, right? So in recent decades, China has been on an unprecedented building program, putting together a power grid fit for 1.4 billion people. So with this upgrade largely complete, Chinese companies are now taking their skills abroad. Take a look.
Dongfeng Heavy Machinery recently shipped a low-pressure heater to French electricity group EDF. This marked the first time the nuclear plant equipment designed and built by China was sold to the European market.
Actually, it is a very special moment for the relationship between EDF and DEC. This trial offer is the first procurement order that EDF has directly granted to a Chinese supplier for EDF nuclear fleet in France.
It marks just one of a few projects for Chinese companies in the European nuclear market. In September 2016, EDF also teamed up with China General Nuclear Power Corporation on several nuclear power projects in Britain.
So were you aware of these nuclear power projects in Britain?
Yes, so nuclear power has been a bit of a sticking point for the UK government. The vast majority of nuclear power stations in the UK were built somewhere between the 1950s and the 1960s. When it came to replacing these, so much time had passed that all the skills and knowledge that you need to build a nuclear power station had largely been forgotten.
Oh, so that's why and when they brought in the Chinese and French firms?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're building something as tricky as a nuclear power station, experience is key. And China, of course, has been on a vast building program in recent years. So UK looked to this experience.
Exactly, and I think because that'll save a lot of trouble from starting all over again, right? And I think actually these are very good opportunities for Chinese firms too.
Of course, talk of Chinese companies going global have been all over the 2 sessions. We caught up with a number of the country's leading CEOs and asked them about their international plans. Let's take a look and see what they had to say.
那当然我们希望这个进一步的在海外的去发展啊，我们现在在海外其实已经是占了这个我们总销售收入的70%都是在海外啊，但是呢，我们大概70%的员工啊是在中国所以我们的生产制造啊，我们的研究开发大多数在中国，所以我觉得这个其实是一个发展呢，持续的推动发展中国企业中国经济的增长，中国企业发展的一个非常好的一个例子啊，就是我们用中国制造中国创造去这个拓展了海外的市场也去赚了外国人的钱所以这个的话呢其实比你只在中国市场这个做中国市场这个发展的空间就大这个增长的这个空间和幅度都会这个更加广阔一些。
华润一代参加这个国际化市场的竞争，利用2个市场两种资源，这个把国际市场的好产品通过华润的好渠道带给中国的消费者这是我们既是我们参加供应侧结构性改革的一个策略，也是我们走出去的一个策略。那么取得的效果呢是不错的。
东航呢，应该说这几年啊，加快了国际化的步伐。说下一步呢，我们就想，进一步的使东航呢，建设成为国际化的东航，而不是东航的国际化，是国际化的东航。包括你的管理，包括你的产品介绍，包括你的官网，包括你的这个一些运营，都要给国际啊。先进的进行对标。
“一带一路”对中国企业走出去是有很大的红利的。我说我们体会到有2个红利非常明显。第一个就是资金，对我们产品走出去，对我们到国外去投资，资金金融体系对我们中国企业的这个可以提供的资金量比原来要多得多，所以审批也很便利。那么第二个呢，就是中国的这个保险，提供保险业务，让中国企业能够放心的走出去，降低风险。
我首先认为应该是这样的，这个企业走出去，当然首先要自己在哪一个领域上，还有一个就是到所在国的这个一些他们的国情啊。他们的政策啊等等，这个要有充分的这个理解，跟对他们的这个国情啊，这个法律上的等等，要有一定充分的了解，加上这是“一带一路”的，我们有这个特别是亚投行等等这些，不管是从这个融资平台也好，还有这个国家外交政策也好。加上这些这个经济实力也好，都是符合的这个我们在这个当前的这个走出去的具备的条件，都是相吻合的。
So lots of optimism and good advice there. So any thoughts to wrap up our talk today?
Sure. So when I realised that the world order was changing a little bit was probably last year when my football team, Aston Villa, was taken over. Before, it was owned by an American CEO of a credit card company. Now it's owned by a Chinese CEO of a tech company. It hasn't helped us yet, but, there's always the hope.
Yeah, that's actually a very interesting perspective, and good luck with that. Okay, and that does it for this edition of Talk China. I'm Xie Ge.
And I'm Sean Haynes. Goodbye.
云天无际，承载梦想。中国南方航空是中国运输飞机最多、航线网络最发达、年客运量最大的航空公司。亚洲第一，全球第3，是南航缔造的业界奇迹。蓝天壮志情，云海谱华章。